Hello, I'm Jeffrey Tennant. I've been making videos about the stock market on YouTube since 2011. I've had this wave count since early 2016, this wave here, and repeatedly I get comments from other people who don't like wave magenta 3 ending here. They want it to end here because they count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave structure. What I'd like to do is to go over the reasons why I prefer this count to that one, and why I don't think that count works. Now, my friend, the late Bill Blount, used to say there isn't only one count that works, and if someone finds a different count that works, that's fine by me. But just because some other count works doesn't mean this one doesn't. And this count obeys all the rules. We'll go over the reason why. Now, the Elliott wave principle has certain rules and certain tendencies. The rules have to be followed, but the tendencies don't. The reason people, I believe, haven't flocked to this count is it violates certain tendencies which offend other people's aesthetic sense. For one thing, I have wave magenta 4 ending at a higher level than wave magenta 3. Well, the tendency is for corrective waves to end under the highs of the previous impulsive wave, but that's a tendency. It isn't a rule. The rule for wave 4 is it can't intersect with wave 2. This one does not, so it doesn't break the rules. The other thing is when the count looks impulsive, they want to count it impulsive as a 5. Well, that's a tendency. There's no rule saying this has to be a 5-wave structure, that no other count works. It's a tendency, and trust me, I've tried to count this as a 5-wave structure any number of times and can't. Now, why do I like my count? Well, there are certain rules, and one rule is if this is a 5-wave structure, that this wave here has to be subdivided into a 5-wave structure, and it can't be. It's a 3-wave structure. And that's a rule. That isn't just a tendency. If you can't subdivide this into 5s, it can't be wave 3. And I think this wave here can't be subdivided into a 5, and this wave here, which everyone else, in every count I've seen online, counts as a subwave 1 of this rally, is a clear 3-wave structure. That's my quarrel with this count. In addition, this count has excellent Fibonacci relationships to be in between the waves and obeys the tendencies to a much greater extent. Now, let's go over some of the tendencies. One of the tendencies is you like to have some kind of Fibonacci relationship between the waves. If there isn't, it doesn't mean the count's wrong, but it adds to greater credence. You can take the height of wave C of 4 and see the nice Fibonacci relationship between wave A of 4. These things tend not to happen by accident. It implies there's some relationship between these waves. You can take the distance from the high of wave 1. It'll let me do this well. To the high of wave 3. You can see the nice fib relationship to the height of wave 1 from its origin. Again, it's not the only ratio you can use. It's not the only beginning and end you can measure from, but it adds to greater credence that the count's the right one. There's also a tendency, a very strong tendency, that when you connect the lows of waves 2 and 4 and take a parallel line, it connects the highs of waves 1 and 3, and that works perfectly with this count. So all these add greater credence to the count. Now let's focus in on this wave and see why I don't think you can count this as a 5-wave structure. Here's the first wave. Now I try any number of times to count this as a 5. I can't count this as a 5 with wave 3 not being the shortest wave. There are any number of ways I can subdivide this into ABC, 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 but there's no way I found to divide it into a five-wave structure. And if it doesn't divide into a five-wave structure, it can't be wave 1. This wave A, blue A in particular, magenta A of A, they're both clear three-wave structures, A, B, C. I don't see any way you can divide this into a five-wave structure when it's an obvious 3. There's also a clear Fibonacci relationship between brown A and brown C, between blue A and blue C. Anyone who wants this five-wave structure and see when it works can look at this one here. Well, I hope that explains my thinking. I hope that explains why I think this count works. And even if someone else finds a different count that works, which is fine by me, this one doesn't break any of the rules, even though it might offend some people's aesthetic sense. And as long as it doesn't break any rules, it's a valid count. Thanks for your attention.